Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Gibson. I'm doing well this, what is it, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, February 19th. Hope everybody's doing well. Our objective with our live streams are very simple, to give you guys a bird's eye view of what we do. Our norm therapists are highly trained. They spend about 6 months in class and about another 90 to 180 days in a probationary period. After that, they spend about a year or so with a senior norm therapist learning how to have these kinds of conversations. I created norm therapy over the past 3 decades, bits and parts here and there, until we came to fruition to launch about 6 years ago. Officially through the 501c3 about 4 years ago, and we're here today. Hundreds of interviews later, and patients are from around the world on every continent. This is what we do. We deal with every kind of problem dealing with abuse. We're not mental health care specialists. You can see our disclaimer on both GoArrow, GOARO.org, or normtherapy.com. You can see our disclaimer at the bottom of each page that'll completely explain to you who we are and what we're about and what we do and what we claim to do and what we claim not to do. So there's no ambiguity. We have live sessions with Bobbi and her husband, Montes, separately. Montes is Tuesday and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Bobbi is on Sundays only from 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Amazing dynamic to watch a couple separately. And during our future sessions, we're going to have a couple of sessions where they both show up at the same time. And hopefully I'm not mediating. I'm just initiating different questions that each one of them will answer and help the audience understand the dynamics of their relationship from a one-on-one. It's a very complicated situation, I'm sure, if you followed us. But anyway, for right now, without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and invite Bobbi in. Hi, Bobbi. How are you?
You always make me laugh
What can
when
I
you
say?
read that. You all it's never scripted the same. It's always, you might leave something out or forget to put something in and you got to finish it off, and
You
it
caught me.
doesn't matter what way I come in feeling. By the time we get here, I'm always, it makes me laugh.
Well, you caught me. At this particular time, believe it or not, there was no script whatsoever. I just
Oh,
had
well then.
none whatsoever. But towards the end, there is a script because we have to do this disclaimer. We have to say when is our next session and how to contact us and those types of things. And it's better to get it all right during that because we want people to communicate with us. We want people to join the organization, follow us. But more importantly, we want people to, if they need our help or if they know someone who needs our help, to, of course, come on board. I'm going to allow probably this upcoming week on a different session, have a different norm therapist come in on Monday. I'm sorry, on Tuesday's show, and another one on Thursday show, and another one next Sunday to be along with me, of course, so people can understand the different norm therapists that we have and the people who we have available, and their level of expertise and professionalism. We're going to do that too, just instead of seeing my face the entire time. Other than that, are you okay over there? The dogs are going well. How are your
Yeah,
dogs?
yeah. Well, she'll go bust right in the door. She don't care. And so I had to just get her on in here and lay her down beside me. Uh
Dogs and animals.
so if you see me going like this, that's so she don't bleep through or
I understand. Dogs, animals, and any kind of children is okay. We don't care at
yeah.
all. That's one of the things that makes us different as a norm therapist. We invite, sometimes in even our training sessions or in our business meetings, people have their kids with them, they have their dogs, their cats.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why we allow that and we think it's a great idea is because people have to be themselves. Most people are most themselves. So when they're around their pets and animals and kids, they're more likely to be authentic.
Yeah.
And very good that we do that. And we've seen nothing but positive results. So if you have a dog, so long as it's not sitting there, roar, 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 the whole time, we're good because we can't talk. But,
Yeah.
come in and they say, hi, mommy, who are these people? They wave, they laugh, they're blushing. We love it. And especially when a big dog jumps up in
She's
your
suckling my sock right now. She doesn't tear holes in them. She
sucks
just sucks it.
ossifies.
Now, if I was to have her and Kong in here, you would hear them even rustling around on the floor. There would be a distraction. So I have to separate them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, my daughter has her puppy up here who is not potty trained. And
I
I
want to
don't
ask
want to be
you about your
the
puppy.
dog whisperer.
Why big dogs? Why big dogs?
I've had American bullies or pit bulls my whole entire life.
He's a pit bull. He's a
Was
pit bull.
younger, we raised German shepherds,
Okay.
and we had to put down. She must have been 17. I can remember her my whole life since I was a baby, and I said I'd never get another German shepherd again, even though they I feel are the most loyalest, truest blue dogs ever.
We grew up on
Um,
shepherds too. I do know shepherds. They are bright dogs and they take no crap from anybody and are
None.
the most loving dogs, loyal to a fault. I say
Yep.
Malamutes, shepherds, pit bulls especially, very, very protective of their owners, even against small people like, children. They're very protective.
Yeah.
Got to be careful where you let them out. But and also I'd say another good dog that is oftentimes overlooked, I think, is the Labrador.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Labradors, the black and the beige Labradors, these dogs are just smart and loyal, and they'll fight a pack of wolves if they have to. But I just love those dogs too. And I've always loved animals, and I'm seeing that you have as well.
Yeah. I had a pony in the second grade. I've had you name it, and I've had it.
What made
So
you what made you so happy about being around animals? What do you think gave rise to your love for animals?
just taking care of them. I always found these are actually the first two dogs that I bought. The rest of my animals have been rescue animals. And
Okay.
um, and I just nurtured them back to health. And even my pony, he was like turning lame on his one leg, and you know what they do to horses. And so I'll never forget it. My dad had a friend named Monty, and he pulled a nail out of his hoof and put some shoes on him for me, and his leg got better.
So he just had a long obstruction in his foot. Okay, and
Yeah,
his
yeah,
yeah. Horses are tricky though. Horses are really tricky. They'll take a lot. Horses will take a lot, and you'll never know that they're festering. The infection is festering in their hooves
yeah,
if you don't get down in there and take a look.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm a very accomplished rider. I'm not a sports equestrian rider, but I love to ride horses.
I am as well. I actually moved to Kentucky with my mom for a year because she promised me horses.
That's the home of horses is in the United States, really. But if you want to talk top breed horses, you talk Kentucky,
Mhm.
period, about horses. I had a friend who lived in Paducah some years ago, and he would oftentimes talk about the horses throughout his state. Really interesting. Tell me something. You love animals. You obviously love kids. You, I think, are an exemplary mom without all the actual years of having to do it. You just get it right. And I think that you do. I think that we all make mistakes in life, big ones and small ones, huge ones and little ones. We just do. But once a child goes beyond the age of, let's say, 18 to 21 to even up to 23 or 4, I think it's time for them to be strong on their own and to always have your support, of course. Always have your wisdom and guidance, your love, your tough love. What's going on now in your life with your children? How are they doing?
So Jasmine is, the one after we did bagged up all the clothes and laundered and sorted and stacked everything nicely, didn't want any of it. So that ended up going to the Goodwill. So since then, she came to us. We had stayed down in Mansfield one night. She came and stayed when my granddaughter Kayana had her sweet 16 birthday party.
Okay.
And so she came about 3 o'clock in the morning to our hotel, said that she couldn't stay with my oldest daughter anymore, that, that her lifestyle and the things that she was doing, she just couldn't handle it anymore, and that she didn't feel safe there,
What
and
do
that
you
she
mean
had to,
lifestyle? What kind of lifestyle?
uh, well, she's in recovery from drinking,
Okay. It's
and
always
and so
difficult. Always difficult.
yep, but she'll be the first to admit it, and she falls short, and uh infidelity in her marriage has created a problem. And
Oh,
so
between her and someone else or her husband and someone else. Is it
on both sides now,
okay?
up until probably a year ago, it was just one-sided and it was on his side.
Mhm.
And so then when he recently went to jail, it happened on her side, and she still hasn't been able to put the affair down, I don't think. And she's
Right.
told him such. And she said, the difference between me and you is I had to find out, and I'm telling you. And so, not that that makes it any better or any worse, but I'm going to come clean right now. And all these times that I've had to find out or had other women approach me because, right down to having a baby in the church with one of the church
Right.
congregation, or
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
um, it's just been pretty hectic. And so now, um, they want to move to Columbus. And as my experience with to just 4 weeks, 5 weeks ago with my other daughter, I'm like, I don't think this is a good idea. Number one, if both have a job and it is true, and he's going to work with this pastor, and not, I mean, he already owes him tons of money for attorney, but if this is my dog call coming in,
Mhm.
sit down. And I'm sorry.
That's okay. They have to be near you.
Like, they're huge and they can just bust my doors open when
Well,
when he wants in. Like, I want in and I'm coming in.
I think it's better we oblige.
So
So,
just lay down.
so
And
you're saying is he owes him a lot of money for attorneys. So the
yeah,
pastor
the
paid for his
church,
attorneys. Okay.
yep, the church helped him out with an attorney with some charges that he got into another county.
Hmm.
And so when he got out, he was supposed to come work with this guy and, pay off. I'm sure he wasn't going to work for free, but you're not, you can't take all of my money from me. I have to live and provide for my wife. And I'm sure that if it's that kind of church, you're going to want me to provide, right?
Exactly.
As the
Exactly.
head of the household.
Okay.
So, um, just knowing the kind of background that he comes from,
And that
I'm
is
one of the,
what kind of
and that's
background?
uh, a lot of trafficking, a
So he
lot of
traffics
drugs.
people, drugs, what?
Yeah, a lot of drug trafficking. He's got pending charges and things now, out on bail. And I just, you know, I don't want no trouble. We just got Montez here on an interstate compact, free and clear. I don't want no more problems.
I
And
understand.
so
So you're thinking
I,
that while they come to Columbus, they're going to be with you, correct?
well, I didn't want that.
Oh, see, I had it mixed up. I thought you did want that and he didn't, but it's the
No,
other way around now. Montez wanted them there and you didn't want them there. Because I remember talking to Montez in the vein of him not wanting them there. Maybe I was wrong on that.
yeah, yeah. And like I said, and the simple thing is that he's on parole, and he's on probation, parole out of another city. So are you going to say your address is? You can't say it's here, because I'm not going to, I'm not willing to jeopardize the amount of work that we've done, which is tremendous. We've done a tremendous amount of work, and change isn't easy. And so, you know, I'm not willing to jeopardize that. So then it came up, well, he could stay with this guy that you know, he loaned the money, and that's who he was going to work for. And then my daughter and Kayana could stay here. And
Right.
Whitney works every day, you know. And
Mhm.
so,
Smart play. That's a smart play, but it may
you
not
know,
be the most. It may not be the
not
most
to say that he
productive play.
couldn't come and visit, not to say that, nothing like that. Like you could come and see your wife, you guys. And that way, if a parole officer knocks on the door, hey, you know what? That's my daughter and her husband, and he stays over there, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, but
And
clear, a clear boundary is what you're saying you like to provide.
yeah, yeah. And so I think
Let me ask
that,
you a question, Bobby.
yeah,
What are you afraid of? What are you afraid will happen?
well, it's really about Montez's serenity. See, he likes it peaceful.
Oh yeah.
And children, like Jasmine's children, disrupted his serenity, which makes us argue more because it's not going to be quiet. It's never going to be a dull moment. There's never going to be a crayon on the wall. There's never going to be, whatever the case. There's going to be trash on the floor. There's going to be heaps of laundry.
Hmm.
That's going to happen. And so, for his sake and his serenity, I stepped in to say, no, this is not going to happen because I can give you 50 reasons why.
And
And
in a,
at the end of
what
the
would you have
day,
said?
it's going to
What
be
would you have
worse
said in the
on
past?
me.
What would
It's
you have,
going to,
before we go there, what would you have said in the past?
I would have said, sure,
And what would
let's come
normally happen
on.
after that? What would
And he
normally
would have been
happen?
like, sure. And then it would have been an all hell breakout, Hatfields and McCoys. It wouldn't have been all the Hatfields. And then we would have turned into two separate families.
So
And
that
then we would have,
the
you know,
dichotomy of, okay.
yeah,
So basically, you were avoiding chaos.
yeah. That would have all resulted because I'm the one that hears it.
Got
I'm
it.
the one that,
Everybody comes to in the middleman.
nope, pity, 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 bat, pity, bat.
Oh,
Song
God.
that never ends. I'm the one that I'm the one that hears it. Nobody else hears it. And so, as far as we've come and as much work as we've put in, I don't want to give that up. I'm
That's
not
very
willing to
normal.
sacrifice.
That's very normal to be protective of what you've been able to accomplish. And, they always say getting something is easy. Keeping it is hard.
Yeah,
Getting a great household where you're both progressing forward. That was a lot of work, but that's the easy part. Keeping it is the hard part.
right.
Maintaining it is the hard part. My focus is on what parameters have you set for this conduct or this arrangement? What parameters, what boundaries have you set on time, on occupying territory, whatever it is? Please tell me.
So this the conversation that Montez and I had today was, if in fact, and I only know this because when I'm driving from church, my daughter's in the back seat, she's behind me, and then my granddaughter's in the middle, and then her husband's on the side. Montez is beside me, and we begin to question how's the job going to her husband.
Mhm.
Doesn't have a direct answer.
Okay.
And so I kind of glance back. My daughter glances up, and it's just one of them conversations that you don't have to say anything.
A non-answer. It's a non-answer. So
Yep.
we all know what non-answers mean. Normally, there is no job or
Right.
there's no substance to the conversation. So a
Right.
non, but is there a potential for an answer? Is there a
There
potential
is
for,
potential.
okay.
So probably an hour after we got home, the pastor come to get them, and they're going over to his house. And so me and Montez had the conversation that, we're going to put a time limit on it. And if there is no job, he's got to go stay somewhere else. We put it like 2 weeks is what I said. If you cut a good 2 week check, now that might mean 3 weeks of staying, okay, to get a 2 full week check at $20 an hour, and you're talking about two people, but see, he's saying that he's getting paid daily. So that kind of pushes it, let's say 2 weeks.
Yeah, but then there's something else you need to consider, because I've allowed over the years people to live with me when they were in their desperate times, and or got them a place to stay. But I'll say this: there's something else to consider. They have daily living expenses. They have a child. They got daycare. If they're both working, that child's got to be somewhere unless they're gonna be with you.
Oh no, she's 16. She's not a child.
Oh, okay, good. So there we go. So we talked about two adults and one almost.
Amen. Yeah, she was the sweet 16. She's my firstborn.
Well, there you go.
So, she's another one of my close matters of the heart, and I am not going to see her be without or do without.
Of course not. That's not even the question, nor is it my thought process.
Yeah.
But it is, if you're going to do something, you need to put it within, and I always say this to parents, and I always say this about parents when it comes to their children. And I always tell them that, sometimes, we can't help our children. We just can't, but we try anyway. Yeah. Sometimes we can help them and we do it anyway. Sometimes we don't want to help them, but we do it anyway. That's just the nature of parenting. Even if you don't have contact with them, even if you don't see them forever, even whatever the circumstance may be, you still have to know that they're your children forever, for the rest of their life. And it's our responsibilities as parents, no matter when they come to you, to do all you can do. And that's just it, no matter what the circumstance or the obstacles are. So you're doing that. Montez is trying to help you facilitate doing that, but coming to a happy medium, or happy meeting of the minds is the issue, I think, that will cause most abuse in the household of not only your system and your boundaries, but also on, you're the one to pity pat, the one to hear it. That's abuse to you. That's very abusive.
Because he's already tired of cleaning up.
Of course,
because he's working.
Exactly. And I want to say to you, and I agree with you, I think that's a smart thing that you have put on parameters. But then there's things called extenuating circumstance. And sometimes these extenuating circumstances will dictate every outcome as well. Like something may happen. They may get a promotion, but they have to wait another couple of weeks to get some paperwork done, or they may need to save up some money to put their first and last down in order to get a place.
I know so many resources. I am the resource queen. And listen, if you go right down there to the Van Buren shelter, they're going to pay your deposit and 4 months rent if you stay 30 days. And you can save all the money you want for free.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad.
So I've set Jasmine up twice since she left here with the same thing. And if you stay longer than that, you're going to come out with the housing voucher.
Well, there you go.
So,
You're educating our audience. You're educating our audience.
Yeah.
So please keep on educating. So a person can go down to a shelter with their family or just alone. How does that work?
With their family or alone. They have men's shelters, women's shelters, and family shelters. And you don't have to be married to be a family.
Okay.
That's just, whatever your
whatever
family.
That unit is, whatever that unit that comes to them, family unit, married or not, is fine. That's a hell of a resource. Hell of a resource.
And see, they only get so many housing vouchers at the beginning of the year, and they go pretty fast. So the ones who stay and get that voucher, that can last them up to, if it's somebody who's disabled, you may have that for 20 or 30 years. You might be in the same place. You might move around, but you always have that, I'm going to pay 30% or whatever's the difference of that is. Some people get utility vouchers, like they help them with their utilities. So it's just, it just all depends. but it replenishes at the beginning of the year, and it's called the fiscal year. Sometimes fiscal years don't start until June or July,
Oh, that's
you know?
great. Great resource,
Yeah, but
but not
you
for
have
everyone.
not for everyone because everybody can't stand communal living, you know?
The shelter type living where everybody's in bunks and all next to each other. Is there a lot of theft and crime in those centers?
Oh, sure. Sure
Okay.
there is.
So when people go there, there's a lot of fear and trepidation and worry about their personal things, their children, their well-being.
Now for children, they have their own separate rooms. The mothers and the fathers are with the younger children. If
Okay.
you have older children, like I would say maybe 12 to 17 or something like that, you may get put in a gym on a bunk and then you have to take your bed down and roll up, when you're supposed to expected to be out looking for a job through the day,
Hmm.
or you can get what you're considered as a host and you can stay there for 30 days.
Okay.
You know, so there's all different kind of avenues in order to get this assistance. And either I'm doing my practicum at a new place now, because I was doing my practicum all at base camp.
Hmm.
And now I'm doing it at Columbus Relief, which is they treat a lot of homeless people who don't even have the uh what's the word I'm looking
The
for?
wherewithal or the capacity.
The illiterate adults
Okay.
who aren't computer savvy, don't know how to put a SNAP or a food stamps and medical card application in. So that's what I go down there now and do is, you know,
Very resourceful. Oh, good. That's very good that you do that. Okay.
yeah, collect
Sometimes bad things
papers
happen to you and then
to
other
put me in
things
a
lift
different
you up.
position.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you worried about right now? What's on your heart? What are you worried about? Because there's some fear in your voice I'm detecting. What's your fear?
Just that, just to revert back to the yelling and the screaming 2 and 3, sometimes every day out of the week, where we went down to at least maybe once.
But you and Montes are having difficulty digesting other people around you while you're trying to work on your own relationship. You work on your own household and work on
And
your
that's why I
own,
was quick to say no.
of course, protecting that. And Montes was quick to say yes, and you guys have been in conflict with that. But
Yeah.
it ended up that he won over the situation and brought them in anyway, or at least your daughter in anyway. So, um, I can stand on my head for a week. I may have blood rushing to my head. I may need to, roll over every now and then, but I'll get right back on my head for a week. That I know I can do. Beyond a week, I don't think I can do that. Beyond a week, I don't think I can do it. So try to think of it in those terms. You can do anything for a short amount of time. But if it goes into that prolonged area of abuse, because I think it is sometimes when people overstay their welcome, it is abuse. It just is. Even if they have nowhere else to go, you are still being abused. That's not normally their fault, nor is it your fault, but it does occur. Decisions have to be made in those moments of what's going to happen after that. Those kinds of decisions should be made now, and they should be, lived up to. Everybody in that agreement should live up to it the best they can. And if they're doing the right things now to prevent having to be on the street later or anytime during your agreement process, I think that that's a good thing. But I think in order for someone to well, like you said, 30 days, or this, that, and the other, they need to start preparing for those things now. So in
Yes.
the event that it doesn't work out like they want, or the pastor can't give them the jobs that they need, or with the kind of money and the timeliness of that money, because they're going to need to save it in order to find a place. They really need to start applying for and getting ready for those things now, so they at least have those in the background, don't you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And at least get on the list, because it's a process. That's a process as well.
Do you feel brokenhearted?
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm torn, you
Mhm.
know. I love my children, but I don't want to go through what I just went through I don't.
What about, can your dogs tell when you feel bad?
Yes. And I think that's why they both want me to want to be in here.
Okay. And I was sensing that. Uh, my dogs were the same way. I've had mostly Malamutes and German Shepherds my whole life. And I had a couple Malamutes some years ago. One of them was this is a husky kind of dog, but one of them had a green eye and a blue eye, and the other one had two blue eyes. But looked like German Shepherds, but wolves. Uh, so bright. I could say, hey, one of them named Joshua. I said, Joshua, sit up here with me. And he'd sit on the couch and watch television with me. And I'm not kidding you. Sit there and do like this. The news, love the news. No matter what news it was, love the news. So they're smart. They're smart animals. I think they connect with humans in a very interesting way. Do you ever find a connection like when you have with your dogs? You knew they wanted to be at the sole of your feet. You knew they want to be right there with you, sucking on your socks and pacifying you and themselves with that. And that's something they do not only to make them feel comfortable and good that you're okay, but also to make you feel good.
Yeah.
Do you have that kind of grooming slash loving slash tactile, touchy relationship with humans?
I don't.
I've been dying to set you up to say that for like months. I have. Not because I guess set you up is a bad word, but it really is good in this case. Because I think that's what you owe people. I think you owe it to yourself to caress you every now and then, to be good to you and feel good about you and be loved and be worried about as you worry for everyone with this stoic and
I know.
discipline,
And that's
discipline
really,
yourself.
this is not how, like when I'm
That smile
listening,
you just gave me is amazing. That was an amazing smile, Bobbi. People deserve that around you.
I
People
do, I
deserve it.
smile and I laugh a lot.
Okay.
But I just to say this in church today, my
Mm-hmm.
daughter reached over and tapped my leg and she said, and I was like, what? And her husband, who was in between us, said she's listening. He knew because he, again, has that.
He
We have
gets
a
it.
lot in common. We
Yeah.
have a lot in common. We butted heads for many years before they got married.
Two bulls in the china shop, of course. That,
Yep.
especially when you see somebody like you who's strong-willed and strong-minded, it's very difficult to relinquish that kind of influence that you have over your daughter and give it to someone else. Not that it was yours to give in the first place, but most parents take ownership in what their daughters and sons should be doing for the rest of their lives. Even if you agree or don't agree, it doesn't matter. Parents will take ownership. I think that I'm saying this is not just for in church today when she noted that you weren't there. You were on message with the pastor, correct?
Correct.
You were not in their thing. You were in your thing. And sometimes
Yeah.
you give off the impression, just by knowing you, sometimes you give off the impression that you don't care about anything else but what you're doing. That's not selfish. It's kind of myopic, like tunnel vision, kind of that, but that's
Especially
okay.
when it's important.
Of
Now, I ain't
course.
going to say that I'm not selfish sometimes because sometimes I am. And sometimes it is about just what I want to do.
And I agree, you should be.
But
That's
I don't ask anybody to follow me. Right.
true. But you can take them down a path where they can't follow you as well. See, if
And
we
sometimes I like to do that too.
see
Because
that's but that'll cause more
that's called
problems.
alone time, right?
That causes a lot of, yeah, alone time is fine, but you should be able to announce that, hey, I need some time alone, you guys, boom, boom, or have a certain look or feel, and then go and have your alone time. There's nothing unhealthy about that. Everything is good about alone time and being on your own and having your own moments to yourself and just kind of refreshing and backing up and regrouping. That's perfectly fine. But you're a complicated woman. You're not,
I am.
if you were easy, we'd be done with these sessions a long time ago, but you're not. What you are, though, is you're very complicated and complex in ways that are all working towards something good for you. And what you're over working for your domain. that you cover all the people and grandkids and kids and husband and friends. You cover all of them. I'm sorry. You cover all of them in your efforts to be Bobbi every single day. That's a lot of work. That you cover them all. But because you're complex and just by some of the circumstance that most of the people you talk about in your life, not many under your protection are as complex as you are. Matter of fact, I'd say only two people you've ever mentioned since we've started talking that were even akin to you, and that's one, your husband, Montes, and whoever this guy was that saw you in church and said, she's listening to the pastor, interpreting for you who you are to them. I don't think you've ever
My daughter, who should know me.
Exactly. You've never mentioned anybody else with that kind of, I don't want to call it clairvoyance, but that insight into you. Not one person since we've been talking. Have you given that kind of depth of articulation about you? That's powerful. Something can be built from that instead of butting heads, because if you know,
Yeah, we haven't always gotten along.
I'm certain.
Do today.
Why am I certain of that? Of course, I'm certain of that. Yes, I'm sure, because leaders oftentimes feel threatened by people with the same skill sets, the same kind of perseverance, the same kind of drive, the same kind of I've been in trouble, you've been in trouble kind of thing. You guys are like two floating ashes that just burned off the flame, that still got the red flame in the middle of it and just still burning. And if it lands on you, it's going to put a hole in your coat and go down into your shirt and then to your skin and have that burn mark. And you're going to suck on it and see it there for days before it heals. You guys are those two. And you never go out. Your flames never go out. Nothing's wrong. Montez, same way. Montez, his flame never goes out. Even when he's trying to relax, his flame is on high, wait for something, some gas or some flammable so he can light it.
Yes, yes.
I know. But all of this can work to your benefit. And just the way you explained, for instance, SNAP and housing and 4 payments and 30 days and all of that, you put down years, literally, of experience in 45 seconds. You had to learn that the hard way, didn't you? You had to be that spark and burn through every obstacle.
Every kind of setback, any kind of paperwork that you might have thought you could have needed on multiple occasions for 5 of your 6 kids or 3 of them, or just now you got to go back and prove because you had 2 kids while you were married. Now you're really technically got 4 kids with that marriage and you got to prove them ain't their kids. Those kind of paperworks that you got to get.
You know what I love about you? You know what I love about you and your husband? I mean, literally, I love it. A lot of people get these kinds of benefits and they just stay on it. They don't care. You and Montes are always looking to work, to have insurance, to make sure your people are okay, to have a home, to do all of the necessary to secure your life, utilizing these services, but without trying to break the system. That is commendable because that's what they're there for. These assistant things, when my mother, father,
it's called TANF, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families.
There you go. And you guys are honoring that, and I like that. When we were growing up, I tell you, they called for Aid for Dependent Children, and ADC in Chicago was called. And my mother and father divorced. We lived in a 16-room home that cost like $160 a month mortgage. It was huge. One of the biggest.
Loved it. This is probably one of the house I've ever had.
We had everything. And then they divorced. And we moved from there to the projects, to this place, that place, my grandmother here, this, that, and the other. Oh, we went from that riches to rags. My father made so much money, I don't even want to say. and he only paid $120 a month for 6 kids. So of course we lost the house, we lost everything. And the ADC, that's why I know, remember the name, because my mother was crying one day and she said, they won't accept us. I said, why not? Because we make money from my father to $120. They won't accept us. So I mean, I remember my brother sitting at the table, no food, 11, 12 o'clock at night. And my mother walk in with hot dogs and pork and beans. But we ate hard. But there was no system in place now. And when people started using the system, they started abusing it. So when I hear the way you use the system, everything you talk about since I've known you about anything in any system has not been about gaming the system. It's about learning the system, utilizing it to its highest and best use, and then finding a job. That is so damn commendable. I have to just tell you guys, I admire that a lot. And so sometimes you feel like, wow, they gave me all this money.
Tuesday.
I'm sorry?
I got an interview on Tuesday.
There you go. There you go. And you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And you're surviving, and that's a good thing. That's, you know, that's a part of our organization that we really like to beef up, as well as we're raising money for Norm Therapy, the for-profit company now. So once that starts to generate enough revenue, we'll be able to undergird completely and financially the nonprofit company that we undergird now. And we'd like to be able to provide some of those services to people throughout the country and throughout the world if they exist, and with partnering with other organizations. So when I hear you speak on these things, and I keep telling Kelly and all the other leadership,
I am the resource queen. If it is, when I was in the institution, I created an 88 county, just Ohio's 88 counties, for women and children, where you're going to go, where you're going to get food, clothes, transportation, housing, for all 88 counties.
So wait
and
until
make policy.
Wait till I have funding.
Policy.
Wait till I receive funding, and it's done, because you will be one of the people I call, because I love what you do, and we need some more work on you, but in your life. But I guarantee you that there is a place for what we're trying to get accomplished. I love the fact that everything you talk about is about helping someone move up. You're giving them a hand up and not a handout. Yeah. I kind of like that a lot. I like that a lot. And that's one of our mottos at the organization. When you were a little girl and your father took you astray and made you do terrible things and made you commit crimes to where you thought it was normal, where you became fearless and you just became this a matter of fact. I love it. And I've done this to people since you showed me this. I go, this is what you get. This is what you get. It's the funniest thing you do, because you that's your character. You just built in this, that's me. So, you're going to mold me any kind of way. This is what you get. But when you were back there with your dad, before you had children, all these things, and you were a little girl, well, young teenager, did you ever stop to think, what if I had people who supported me? How differently my life would look?
I'd be a probation officer right now, probably a supervisor.
Or more, probably running the department, to be honest. But and can you now see, because you have been able to extricate yourself and pull out all the faulty wiring in your life, most of it anyway, can you now clearly see your circuit board of what you could have, would have, should have?
Yeah. And I still try to stay in school. I'm a forever learner.
Nothing wrong with
that. Knowledge is power, and that's something that nobody can take from me.
That's true.
Nobody can take what you know.
They can't. They can't. But a lot of people, here's what I want to tell you, and I want to caution you on. If people don't know something, they will make it up. If they don't know something about you, they'll make it up. So the stronger and more articulate and intelligent you become about your industry and your vocation and the things you want to accomplish in life, be protective of it, and don't be too smart for the people sometimes, because they'll resent you while they receive your help. They'll resent that they're not you, is mainly the problem. And it's not because they envy you whatsoever. People want to see you do well, Bobbi. They
but
just,
not better than them.
there you go. They just don't want to see you do better than them. So you have to be careful of that the more you help people, because you're going to find a lot of opportunity for that here in the future, I'm certain of. And that's a good thing. But your father has always intrigued me. He died at 45, right?
45.
45 years old. And can you remember any advice he's ever given you that's worked for you in your life?
None.
But you loved him unconditionally, didn't you?
Yeah. First tattoo I got on me, and the first one that's getting covered up as the reincarnation team is coming into, well, they're doing a whole thing on trafficking survivors and
Mhm.
abuse victims, and that's the first one's getting covered up.
Why are you covering it up? Not because you
Uh,
should, but just tell me, why are you covering?
uh, I don't want it there. That's not my favorite person in the world, and it took me probably, I don't know, 40 years to say I had an unhealthy relationship with my dad. At least 35.
Well,
And so I want to get me some butterflies that represent freedom to me. And daisies or flowers. I love flowers and butterflies. So
well, that's rebirth. Rebirth, butterflies, especially newly minted butterfly right out of the cocoon. I tell you, that's rebirth. Symbolizes peace.
yeah, I got a couple on my right foot, and I consider it walking on freedom.
Well, there you go.
So
There you go. You know, the audience now is asking me a bunch of questions, so I'm going to switch to a question. Would you mind?
go ahead.
Okay, to all of you out there who are in our audience today, I hope you're enjoying this session. You mentioned earlier that you and Montes have been doing a lot of work, but you weren't really specific. So maybe you can clarify what's been useful that you and Montes been doing.
Well, the first one was the last time I was just like, lie, let him lie. No, it's been useful. No, not that, but just the I feel when you do this, and could you or we try this, the dualities using we,
Mm-hmm. Collective
us,
thought and doing.
yep, the dualities, things that I know that he says that may not be true. I don't debate it anymore. So then there's no friction, there's no argument.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of times it's just giving each other space when we know we need space. We know each other. We've been together 24 hours a day for a long time. And we know when, he just needs to want to play the game, or, I want to just come in here and snuggle and pretend like I'm watching TV,
There
and
you
it's
go.
so it's getting that space and keeping that serenity. And so I think that's why I'm so protective, but also having someone who has guided us through what the process looks like, because we didn't have a process. Our process wasn't working, and it was about to land us in a divorce.
I think so as well. But most people land themselves in divorce because they cannot articulate the problem. If you're incapable of articulating and seeing the problem, it's impossible for you to fix anything. So you must always turn to someone who has an objective view. And I'll tell you, I'm not the best husband or boyfriend or best guy in the world for any woman at all. But I'm a good one. I'm a good guy. And I had to learn a lot of things that I share with people over decades of experience, but the hard way just as well. And the whole impetus of norm therapy came from watching abuse from myself as a child all the way till today, and the abuses of others from around the world. The one underlying theme about, well, there's two real underlying themes about abuse. The first one is always fear. Fear is the number one abuser ingredient that you'll find in any kind of abuse, because people have to use fear, and they have to use it against you in order to get you to do what they want to do. And that's why they abuse you. And that's why they can. That's why they think they can. But the second one is pain. And somebody always will say, well, pain of losing a loved one versus the pain of getting into a car accident are two different kinds of pain. And you're right, they are. But one thing that's universal about pain, eventually it goes away, or there's some type of treatment to decrease its intensity. There's something to do to work with pain. And that's the same with relationships and same with life. You have to look for ways to reduce the pain in your life, because there will be pain every single day in some category or fashion. You will find pain. And what people like to do is sweep the pain under the rug, or they like to enthrall and engulf themselves in pain, and to whereas everybody pities them or looks upon them like, oh, what can we do? And Google
For
Docs.
me.
Exact
Yeah.
poor me syndrome. Exactly. And that's why I don't mention pain much, because I want people to, I just talked with somebody not too long ago, and their own family members went against them in a terrible kind of way. So unforgivable. And I tried to explain in very certain terms, not uncertain, but very certain terms, that you got to get beyond that real quick. Get beyond the fact that you were hurt. Go to what that betrayal looks like. And don't forget it. Forgive it, walk away from it, let it go. Just remember what that betrayal looked like, sear it into your brain, and never allow yourself to be placed in that circumstance again, no matter what. And that's it. Let it go.
There's a saying that I always say, and it's change can only occur when the pain of remaining the same is greater than the change. Now, I
Well,
didn't champion that, which I would love to have claimed it, but it
that's
has
common
definitely
sense.
helped my life,
Well, that's
because
common.
it's only when you're tired of feeling that pain or that burn
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to shift objectives or shift your direction and do something different.
Yes,
If you're comfortable if you're comfortable in that pain, you're
you're
going to
gonna
stay
stay in
right
it.
there.
Oh yeah. You get it. See, most people can't articulate that. Most people, it's impossible for them to articulate what you just said, because they've been wallowing in it since birth, or since their first husband started beating them. Now they're in a third husband that beats them, or since their wives are cheating on them, and now she's still cheating on them. They are living in this pain because they don't know anything else. And until that pain becomes greater, or the change become greater, it'll make your decision for you. That is very profound. I like it. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
in norm therapy we teach something like that, but I guarantee you that makes a lot of sense, for the commonsensical thinker, because most people don't use common sense when it comes to their emotions. They just don't. They'll argue with you knowing that they'll get nowhere arguing. They'll try to barter with you something they know you don't want to give. They'll try to cry it into existence, and they know that won't work, but they'll do it anyway. And they use their emotions and they wear them on their sleeves, and their abusers see them coming. Their abusers see them coming. You were treated like that as a kid. As a kid, you were being abused, and you wore your emotions on your sleeve for the very abusers that abused you. Now you're an advocate for not being abused. You're an advocate for helping others and yourself. That's a huge turnaround to make, Bobbi. And to be a walking encyclopedia of resources is an amazing thing, because one, you had to use them at some point or another, especially with the large and extended family that you have. But also the kind of environment you grew up in, and a lot of them grew up in, makes for a family that could fail if you're not careful. If you're not careful, that family could fail. But you're doing all you can to make sure that that's not the case. Am I correct in that statement?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. I love talking to you and Montes, because it's real and it's honest. And I know you guys sometimes hold back what you want to say and really want to say in the way you want to say it. And thank you for our viewers out there that you do that. But I know it can be hard. Hard life, I'm not unfamiliar with. I do know the hard life, but I also know the good life. For every depth you go through in life, it's only preparing you for the rise when you come out of that hell. So if I go 10 feet down, I'm going to come out 10 feet over, because that depth prepares me for that 10-foot overage. It just does.
And
Most
without that suffering, you would never know joy. You would never experience happiness.
you wouldn't even recognize it,
Wouldn't even recognize it.
because a lot of people are given life, especially people with wealth, they're given life, they're given money, they're given access, they're given all kinds of stuff to replace relationship, oftentimes, to replace affection, oftentimes, to replace listening to them, oftentimes.
Comforting stuff.
Exactly. It's
Usually external comforting stuff.
exactly.
Pacifying.
And they're the most unhappy people I'm finding. The wealthier they are, normally the more unhappier they are, by far. You can get a hot dog and some French fries and sit with your grandkids and watch something in the park, some balloons being let go, and you're the happiest woman in the world because you're exactly where you want to be. You can fill up the whole park and name it after most rich people. I think the Bible or Quran, one of these, I've read most of the religious texts on the planet, and it's easier to get a camel through the eye of a needle than a rich man into heaven. Why is that? Because they want to take all their
Take it
stuff
with you.
Exactly. Okay, I got one more question, and then I'm gonna have to close out. You got one from the audience. It says, you're very driven by helping others, and this is very commendable, of course. So how could you utilize this mindset to help you more? I think you're already doing it to a certain extent, but how could you do more?
And to help myself.
Yeah, with all the resources you have and know.
See, the only way that I can keep what I have is by helping someone else.
There you go. That's your job.
And that's all I can do. And so the more people I help, the more satisfied my mind stays, my heart stays. And as long as it's all lining up and I know where I'm going, if something happened tomorrow, then my purpose is served. Because I did a 180, not a 360, because somebody once told me the 360 brings you right back to the same place. So I did a 180 and went the other way, and I haven't stopped trucking.
In the military, call that an about face. You're doing an about
Yep.
face. Go the other way. Okay. Thank you. I enjoyed this tonight, Bobbi. I'm going to read this thing off and say goodbye to everybody here. This is the one that I read. And I do ad lib here as well, because sometimes I don't like the way it's worded.
But you didn't do too bad in the beginning. You're like, it was
impromptu, totally impromptu. I promise you, I had no script for that whatsoever. I can actually get on these things and talk, and then people go, "Wow, how do you do that? 5-10 minutes straight, just talk." I can do that. Some people in the audience probably saying, "Yeah, this guy does talk too much." But anyway, let me go over and read this here. If you've enjoyed and got something out of today's sessions, please show your support by sharing this video and others that we have, of course, ad lib, and subscribing to our channel and liking it. Please make a comment, because that goes a long way for our attraction to the global audience. Our next norm therapy session with Montes will be Tuesday, February 20th at 6 p.m. Please go to GoArrow, that's GoArrow.org, and to, of course, Norm Therapy, NormTherapy.com, and explore our opportunities and seek help for yourself or someone in need of our services, of course, and that's counseling. If you're interested in applying to become a Norm therapist, please let us know by going to contact@normtherapy.com. But if you're also interested in becoming a Norm therapist, just go to our Norm Therapy website and read on it, click on it, pay for the course, and we'll be standing by. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again on Tuesday. I enjoy every time I speak to you, Bobbi. I really do.
I do too.
I think you're a very wise person, and you're making the right moves in your life. And don't worry about the obstacles. You have the ability to plow them. So this is okay. This is stay on the right path, and make sure people know what your path is so they can't screw it up. Okay?
Will do.
Good talking to you about
All right. Thank you.
it. See you guys later. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.